I already covered 3 games from NFL Week 3. I talked about the Rams versus Tampa in another topic. Sunday Night Football, Packers at 49ers. I talked about that. Bears, Browns, Justin Fields' first ever NFL start. I already talked about those 3 games. You can find those topics elsewhere. However, there are still 9 noteworthy stories I want to talk about from NFL Week 3. Number 1 is this. The Ravens beat the Lions with a crazy game-winning field goal. A new NFL record, 66 yards from Justin Tucker. It bounced off the crossbar. It went in, was good. And to get there, what's even more unbelievable about this kick, it's unbelievable. The Ravens had to convert a 4th and 19 on their own 16-yard line, and they did. It was insane, and I felt really bad for Lions fans. I felt bad because, first of all, their quarterback, Jared Goff, played a pretty clean game, 22 for 30 passing, no turnovers. And also, like, the Lions, Ravens receiver Marquise Brown, I'm not even going to call him Hollywood because he doesn't deserve it. Marquise Brown dropped 2 touchdowns back-to-back. And the whole, all those people, the Lamar can't throw crowd. How about the Hollywood doesn't deserve the Hollywood part of his name crowd? I don't know. I'm tired of people saying Lamar can't throw. We saw he could this weekend. I can't say enough. I felt so bad for Lions fans. They finally thought they won a football game. And then they give up a 4th and 19 deep in their own territory, right? Like they had the Ravens dead to rights and they couldn't make it happen. So not only did they give up a 4th and 19 deep in Ravens territory, then they get beat by the longest field goal in NFL history, which bounces off the crossbar. I'm like, oh, you poor people in Detroit. I feel so bad for you. Number 2, the Raiders beat Miami in overtime. The Raiders are now 2-0. I have not watched this game yet. Remember, Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback for Miami, is on the injured reserve. He's out at least 3 games. He's got 2 more games he will not play, minimum. And Jacoby Brissett has got now 2 more games to create a quarterback controversy in Miami. Jacoby Brissett, I want to watch it. I don't know how well he played, but I know that they took the Raiders to overtime. Derek Carr had a pick 6, and whatever happened here, Jacoby Brissett was clearly not terrible. He did enough to put his team in a position where they had an opportunity to win. And then the other note here is just the Raiders are 3-0. They play, I think the LA Chargers next week. I don't know that the Raiders can beat LA, but they could. I guess they always could. I don't know that they will, but the Raiders are 3-0. They might go 4-0 if they win a really tough game next week. And remember, the Raiders are coming off, the LA Chargers are coming off of a really high. They beat Kansas City on the road, so maybe coming off of a really big win, the Chargers are a little bit flat next week. The Raiders can take advantage and win next week. Maybe the Raiders start 4-0 here. That's a really cool year, and I believe it's the best start to a year ever. Not ever. It's the best start to a season for the Raiders since 2002, the year they won the Super Bowl. So I am very, very, very excited for Raiders fans. They have been waiting for a year like this for a long time, and I don't know if it's going to continue. But you're 3-0. Enjoy it. Be happy. Right now, Derek Carr is an MVP candidate. Like, have a good time. Be happy. Do MVP chants in week 4. Like, I just have a really good time. Enjoy being undefeated right now. That's very, very cool for the Raiders. Number 3, Josh Allen. He had a slowish start to the first 2 games. He did not play great week 1. He played a little better week 2 against Miami. Miami did not play well last week. Against the Steelers, they lost. Week 2, they beat Miami, but not an amazing performance for Josh Allen. Josh Allen exploded, though, in week 3 against Washington. This is the guy we saw last year all year. He had 5 total touchdowns, 4 passing, 1 rushing. He was 32 for 43 passing with 358 yards. Again, that's the Josh Allen we saw last year, a guy who was an MVP candidate last year. And when the Bills offense plays like they did week 3 against Washington, they can beat anybody. And I am very hopeful and excited for the rest of the year for Buffalo. Can they keep it going? I think they can. I want to see this team become a Super Bowl contender. They already are in the mix, but can they win a playoff game against Kansas City in the AFC title game? Can they be that team? They're really good. Can they get over the hump this year? That's what I want to see from Buffalo. And man, if Josh Allen plays like that the rest of the year, they definitely can. Now, number 4, the Saints beat the Patriots 28-13. Everybody gave up on New Orleans after they lost last week. And by the way, Mac Jones, rookie quarterback, had 3 interceptions against New Orleans. The Saints defense looks really, really good. But last week, the Saints coaching staff was basically, they had 7 offensive coaches out with COVID, a couple defensive coaches. Basically half their coaching staff did not coach last week. And that's not just during the game. That's all week. They couldn't be around the players. And so I think people really strongly overreacted to New Orleans losing week 2 to Carolina badly. I remember saying I think last week there was 8 stories. So last week during Noteworthy 8, I said, hey, remember, the Saints didn't have a lot of their coaching staff. Well, we saw, hey, the Saints are not the team that got destroyed week 2 by Carolina. They're still a very good football team. They beat the Patriots this week. I think they're still finding their way. The Saints offense is still figuring things out, but Jameis looked a lot better this week. And I want to repeat, the interceptions Jameis threw in week 2 against Carolina came once they were down 17-0. One was at the end of the fourth quarter, one was at the end of the first half. But he didn't create the massive lead for Carolina. He was trying to overcome that. That's when he threw the bad interceptions in week 2. So I just wouldn't close the door on Jameis Winston yet. I haven't watched this game yet. I want to watch a game, but they beat the Patriots. That means something. And the Patriots have a good defense. And so I just don't close your mind yet on Jameis Winston being a good quarterback. It's still up in the air. And I'll watch this game. I'll give you a report when I watch it. But interesting and exciting stuff coming out of that Patriots-New Orleans game. And number 5, Giants fans, man. The Giants are 0-3. They just lost to Atlanta 17-14. Hey, angry Giants fans, let's have a talk real quick. You guys did not like my season prediction for the New York Giants. And, hey, I will accept apologies at any time. Anytime. I'm wondering if Dave Gettleman's going to keep his job after this year. The one guy I was completely right about, Daniel Jones is showing promise. I don't know how he played in week 2, but it looked like he didn't have any turnovers, wasn't awful. But Saquon Barkley, 1 touchdown in 3 games, 134 yards rushing in 3 games total. Go watch my prediction. I was right about Saquon Barkley. They could have got that kind of production way later than the 2nd overall pick. I mean, they just should not have drafted Saquon Barkley number 2 overall. And I will say that until I'm dead. That was not because Saquon's bad, but because Saquon, without a good offensive line, can't do anything, right? I don't care how good your running back is. I'll say this forever. I don't care how good and talented your running back is, how explosive he is, how great he is in the open field. He can't get to the open field if he has a bad offensive line, and the Giants do. They never should have drafted Saquon Barkley number 2 overall. And not because Saquon's bad, but because you should never draft a running back that high. If you're that bad, you clearly have bigger problems than a running back. And so I totally disagree on the way the Giants were built. I want to do a topic called redrafting the New York Giants. I've done all the prep work for it. I'm kind of waiting for a good opportunity to release that. I might put it out this week. Let me know if you want to hear that. That would be a really fun topic, redrafting the New York Giants. Number 6 is this. The Chargers beat Kansas City. Game was at Kansas City too, by the way. The Chargers are a Super Bowl dark horse, in my opinion. I had the LA Chargers winning the AFC West. I got called crazy for that. I'm feeling pretty good about it right now. We're only 3 games in, but I'm like, hey, LA is very, very good. And they just beat Kansas City. At Kansas City. I mean, I had Kansas City down slightly from last year. Not awful, still a playoff team. And if Kansas City gets into the playoffs, they have an opportunity to win a Super Bowl every year because they have Patrick Mahomes. But I have them as a wild card team, not winning their division because of how good the LA Chargers is. So far, that journey for LA to beat Kansas City and win the division has begun. And we'll see how it plays out. I'll see if my prediction was right. And I don't have an ego here. I don't care if I'm wrong. I'm willing to be wrong. But I'm feeling pretty good about that right now. This is only the 3rd time in the Patrick Mahomes era that Kansas City has lost 2 games in a row. It's really surprising to me. And so, they lost to the Ravens last week. They lost to the Chargers now. Wow. Very impressive win by LA. Number 7, the Colts are 0-3. They lost to the Titans 25-16. Carson Wentz played, but it wasn't enough, unfortunately. In my opinion, a Super Bowl is unrealistic if you're Indianapolis right now. And I think it was always unrealistic to expect a Super Bowl run in year 1 of Carson Wentz's career in Indianapolis. I think they need a few more players anyway to build a team that can win a Super Bowl. And I think if you're a Colts fan, it's okay. Relax. You're fine. Your window hasn't closed, nothing like that. I think actually you're entering a Super Bowl window next year, right? Give it a year for Carson Wentz. If you let go of the Super Bowl and you adjust your expectations accordingly to like, hey, this year is about building and getting chemistry and getting Carson Wentz used to Indianapolis and playing with his teammates and building chemistry with his receivers. Like, it was never quite realistic for Carson Wentz to win a Super Bowl in year one. And this year's about building for next year to make a long run next year. So if I'm a Colts fan, that's how I would orient my brain. It would give me comfort. It would make me feel better. Let go of the Super Bowl aspirations, change that to next year, and then, hey, you're all good. You're 0-3, but it's not hopeless. This year is about growing and building chemistry between Carson Wentz and the rest of his teammates. Number 8. Look, Bengals fans hate me, and I don't mind it. It's fine. But the Bengals just beat Pittsburgh 24-10. I had a fantastic time watching and keeping up with this game. It was really cool to see. Pittsburgh is dominated for years. And to see Cincinnati, they beat them last year too without Joe Burrow. But to do it this year with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase had 2 touchdowns. The Bengals are 2-1. I mean, I am starting to buy into the fact and believe that Joe Burrow might be turning around Cincinnati. Joe Burrow is the man. He wins and makes it happen everywhere he goes. And look, I love Cincinnati. People think I hate on Cincinnati. I don't like their ownership. Although I like the moves they made this offseason, and it's looking like I was not only wrong about Cincinnati and Joe Burrow, but there's an opportunity here. We'll see. We're 3 games in. We'll see where we're at week 10. But I might have been very wrong about Cincinnati, and I'm starting to feel a sense of hope. And when I get hopeful, I become a fan, and I want Joe Burrow to do incredible. I love the city of Cincinnati. I met a guy here in Hawaii the other day who's from Cincinnati, who moved here from Cincinnati, and he misses home. And we talked about Skyline Chili, and I just was like, how cool would it be if the Bengals made it work with Joe Burrow and won a lot and were very, very good and competitive? I would love to see that. So I'm holding on to hope. My fingers are crossed. Maybe Joe Burrow is the right guy who is capable of turning this Bengals team around and this franchise around, and that would make me unbelievably happy. Number 9, noteworthy 9. Hey, Minnesota beat Seattle. And Minnesota, the Vikings, to their credit, they avoided being 0-3. Well done for them. Both Seattle and Minnesota are now 1-2. I think Seattle at 1-2 is way worse off than Minnesota at 1-2. Minnesota might have saved their season. Seattle right now, they're in a bad spot. They're 1-2. They are at the bottom of the NFC West, a really good, really competitive division. I mean, it's only going to get worse here for Seattle. They're in the same division as the Rams, the Cardinals, and the 49ers, who are incredibly good. I had the Seahawks as the worst team in that division. And I got nervous about my prediction. I was like, we'll see. And we're only 3 games in, but I said, hey, I will back off my prediction of 6-11 for Seattle week 10. If week 10 they're better than I thought, hey, I will admit I was wrong and own it. But I said, let's see where they're at. Because I remember last year, I had the Jaguars tanking and winning like 1 game last year, and they beat the Colts week 1, and I panicked. I was like, oh no, I'm wrong. And I said I was wrong about the Jaguars, and it turns out fool's gold. I was right all along. So I've been very careful not to back off of my Seattle Seahawks prediction just yet. I hear the anger. I feel it. That's fine. But Seattle's in a bad spot that's only going to get worse, and they didn't even score in the second half against Minnesota. Like I said, the question this year was, how far can Russell Wilson carry them? I think the team around him isn't very good. We can disagree on that, but Russell Wilson has to put the team on his back and carry them up a mountain like a Sherpa. You ever heard of mountain climbing at Mount Everest? They carry your gear for you. It's kind of weird, and it's a relationship I don't understand, but Russell Wilson's got to be the guy to pick up the slack and carry everything while you climb up the mountain. Can Russell Wilson carry all your gear and get up the mountain? I don't know. When Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl, he had a great, incredible team around him. They had the luxury of having Percy Harvin do nothing all year and then score a bunch in the Super Bowl. I mean, they had players they didn't even need on that team. Seattle is not that team right now. They are the worst, in my opinion, worst team Seattle's ever put around Russell Wilson. And we can disagree on that, but I see a really rough year ahead for Seattle, and I'm not backing down from that. We'll see where they are week 10. But get mad at me all you want. I'm concerned for Seattle. The Vikings, however, won a must-win game. Good for them. I am curious how the rest of the year goes for Minnesota. I might have said Miami. I meant Minnesota. Minnesota, if they can salvage their year 1-2 right now, if they can have a winning record, then maybe they don't fire the coach. I think the coach, Mike Zimmer, or the quarterback, Kirk Cousins, one of them gots to go. One of them is going to take the fall here if they have a bad year. Maybe both of them. I am very, very interested to keep my eye on Minnesota. What's going to happen this year? I don't know. I have no idea, and it's a developing story that I cannot wait to see play out.